This is an ABC News special report. Now reporting, George Stephanopoulos.
Good morning. We are coming on the air now with major breaking news in the Russia investigation. Michael Cohen, President Trump's former attorney, longtime fixer, has reached a new plea deal with special counsel Robert Mueller. He is appearing in federal court in Manhattan at any moment, expected to plead guilty for false statements to Congress after dozens of hours of testimony to Mueller's team centered on the key issues of collusion with Russia and obstruction of justice by President Trump. In his earlier plea deal with prosecutors in New York, Cohen implicated President Trump in campaign finance felonies. This cooperation potentially even more damaging to the president. Cohen, now the most pivotal public witness in the Mueller investigation. He reported directly to President Trump for more than 10 years, was a fixture at Trump Tower in New York, and was actively pursuing a Trump Tower in Moscow during the presidential campaign. I want to bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. Dan, Cohen once promised to take a bullet for President Trump, but back in July, he told me he's putting family and country first, and now he poses a double-barreled threat to the president.
And I think, as you pointed out a moment ago, this is the more significant threat. Up to this point, we've been talking about Michael Cohen and implicating the president in campaign finance violations, basically helping to cover up the payments to Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, and the timing of it and how that relates to the election itself. All of that important, significant, possible campaign finance violations. But here you're talking about the heart of the Robert Mueller investigation, talking about Russia. You're talking about the president's, potentially the president's knowledge about what he knew, when he knew it, connected to Russia. Totally different game here.
And this is voluntary cooperation by Michael Cohen. Also expected to get a letter from the counsel, the special counsel Robert Mueller, detailing his full measure of cooperation and the value of that cooperation. That could also be very significant to Cohen.
Absolutely. And when you point out about the voluntary nature of this, remember, he pled guilty to the 8 counts, facing 46 to 63 months behind bars in connection with that case. But, it wasn't a true deal. It was a guilty plea. And that's what made it so powerful. And so I think that further becomes an issue here as well, because it is clear now that he is cooperating with Mueller's team. Yeah,
I want to bring in our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, for more on that. Not only is cooperating, also are learning that he will continue to cooperate, and we know that Mueller has been leading a meticulous investigation.
That's right, George. Sources familiar with these discussions about a possible guilty plea say they focus on false statements Cohen allegedly made to Congress during closed-door hearings before intelligence committees investigating allegations of Russian collusion. Sources familiar with the discussions tell ABC News Cohen spent about more than 70 hours with the Mueller team, with questions focusing on contacts with Russia during the campaign, Trump's business ties to Russia, obstruction of justice, and talk of possible pardons. The significance here is that the Mueller probe now has a cooperating witness from Trump's inner circle who is providing details specifically relating to issues of Russia connections. And George, because Cohen's statements were made before Congress, it raises questions about what other associates of the Trump campaign told congressional committees. Mueller is working toward a conclusion, and matters may only intensify. George, the final moments of such deals are fluid, dicey even, but this appears imminent.
This does appear imminent. I want to bring Cecilia Vega, our senior White House correspondent, as well. We don't know what President knows about this, if anything, until right now. But we do know for the last 24 hours, he's been very spun up.
Increasingly combative on Twitter, 4 days by our count, George, in a row now. He has had attacks on Mueller, more than 11 since Monday. Just an hour ago, he said this is a Joseph McCarthy-style witch hunt that has shattered so many lives. But this is huge news. It is impossible to overstate the relationship between Michael Cohen and Donald Trump. He was among his most loyal and zealous defenders for years. And we also know that the president has really painted him out to be a liar. He has said Michael Cohen will do anything to get out of trouble. I would imagine when we do hear a response from President Trump, it will be along these lines again.
Okay, the news just coming in. Michael Cohen in federal court in Manhattan today, expected to plead guilty to false statements to Congress after 70 hours, more than 70 hours of cooperation with special counsel Robert Mueller, who is valuing that cooperation. We're going to cover this all day long. Back to Good Morning America in the rest of the United States.